Well, good afternoon. I am Father Allen. I'm the rector here of this congregation, and I want to let you all know how very, very glad I am to see all of you here this evening. It's great to have you with us as we restart our concert series for the first time here after COVID. It's really very exciting, and I just want you all to know that you are always welcome here at Holy Comforter. It is just a tremendous honor and privilege for us to be able to have a truly world-class musician with us this evening. And when I say world-class, I don't just mean in terms of his musical ability, but I think also just in terms of the way he brings all kinds of world cultures together in what he does. It is amazing. I've heard it described by some of you who were here before and saw him as being like going to a spa for your mind. I think his music kind of massages the brain in all the right places. So we are so grateful, and we want to give a very warm welcome to Hiroya Tsukamoto. Let's give him a warm round of applause.
Thank you. Very happy to be back to Tallahassee, Florida. It's very warm here. I live in New York City, so it's a little different. But it's great to be back. So what I do is a mixture of original music and some stories behind them. So I hope you will have a good time. So there's a program today, so I'm going to follow the program. And the first piece was one of my original compositions called Dawn. And since I spend a lot of time on the road because I travel to different places to perform shows, I compose a lot of music in different locations, including this next piece I'm going to play. I wrote this piece in the mountain in Utah several years ago. And after playing shows in Utah, me and my wife decided to take 2 days off to explore. And we ended up renting a Jeep. But I was scared to drive a Jeep, so I asked my wife to drive. And she drove a Jeep about a couple of hours through those very, very steep canyons. And after that, we got to this beautiful natural stone bridge with a huge red rocks. And I had my guitar in the Jeep, so I picked up guitar and started playing by the natural bridge. And after a while, this little piece came about. So I named this piece as the name of the place. And this one's called Gemini Bridge. can I hear them radio? Hey, 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 can I hear them radio? To the barricade, to the barricade, to the barricade. Thank you. Thank you very much. I have been living here in the United States a long time, more than 20 years. Still, English is sometimes challenging, especially when I name the song in English title. And what I sometimes do is, if I compose a new piece, I play at the show and asking American audience like you to get some idea. And that's what I did for this next piece. Right after I composed this piece, I had a show in Rochester, New York. And after the show, a guy came to me and he said, I got an idea for your new piece. And he was, I think, a mid-70s guy, and he was telling me about his life. And he said, as I get older, when I wake up every morning, I just appreciate each day more and more. And he said, how about another great day to be alive? And I thought that's a nice title. But he also said that if you don't name it, I'm not going to buy you a CD. So I named this piece as he suggested, and I hope he's happy. I sometimes think about different cultures around the world, and I realize that so many cultures, it's very difficult to maintain the cultures. And so many cultures were disappeared. And I was thinking about one summer in my 20s when I spent that summer in the southern part of Japan, Okinawa. You know Okinawa, right? And as you know, Okinawa was a part of the US territories from 1960s till 70s. But also Okinawa was a different country before Japan. And it was actually a kingdom for 450 years. And it has a sad story. Basically, Japan took over Okinawa, even though they had very different cultures, and including traditional folk music and dance. And back then, when I was in 20s, I was very fascinated by Okinawan folk music. So I went there and I visited some Okinawan folk singers and tried to learn some folk songs from them. And I met one old folk singer there. He was even from a tiny island in the southern part of Okinawa. And he told me this story that the language he spoke is disappearing. And he said, I am trying to maintain this language to next generations because this language has been spoken for long time. But I don't think it's possible because most young people use just a regular Japanese because of the media, television, radio, and also schools. And I was thinking about him and what he told me, and I composed this piece, and this is called Shio no Michi in Japanese. And Shio means ocean's current, and Michi is a path. 聞こえるほらね聞こえる Thank you. In the southwest part of Colorado, there's a small town called Cortez, which is near Mesa Verde National Park. And I've been there several times in the past in my life. And the first time was almost 12 years ago. And that was the time when I did my first Colorado tour. And for this trip, I decided to take my wife because she had never been to Colorado yet. And we were looking for a place to stay around this town, Cortez. And we found this place called Flag Meadow Ranch. It's a bed and breakfast owned by this guy named Harris Court. And we stayed there, and we had a wonderful time. And Harris was just a beautiful human being. And since we had a great time for our first trip, 2 years later, I did another Colorado tour. And for this trip, I decided to bring my parents from Japan because they had been to the United States a couple of times, but only big cities, New York, Los Angeles, and they had never been to Southwest. So I wanted to show them the big landscape of America. So they flew from Japan, and 4 of us stayed there at the Flag Meadow Ranch. And we had a wonderful time again. And for that time, I talked more with this guy, Harris. And I found out that he was married with a Navajo woman. And he used to live in Navajo reservation for many years. And since he lived there for many years, he was very fluent in Navajo language. And he had a deep understanding of indigenous cultures. And he taught me a lot of things I didn't know. And he said to me, it was a very interesting experience for me to live there because I was only non-Navajo person in the community. And I was looking at America from a different angle, different views. But I was still in the US. And after his wife died, he moved out from a reservation and he started this bed and breakfast. And 2 years ago, during the pandemic time, I was talking to my wife. Where should we go after this thing is over? And she said, I want to visit Harris again, if possible. And we were wondering how he was doing, but we couldn't find any information. And we kept searching, and we found out that he passed away 3 years ago. And this place was sold to another couple who were supposed to take over this place, but they didn't do it. So this place is basically closed. And when I knew that, I just regret that I didn't reach out to him when he was alive. It was just too late. Last year I was at home and I was thinking about him and this big landscape, big sky of Colorado, and I composed a piece. And this is called Wide Clear Sky. Thank you.
Well, for those of you who have programs can see that we now have a brief intermission. So I want to invite you all, if you want to join us for some snacks and things that are out in the hallway, you're very welcome to do so. We'll take a little break and be back again in a few minutes. Thank you. That all of the proceeds from this event, all the money that we make from this concert, will go to support all of our youth and children's ministries here in this parish. So we're incredibly grateful for that, for all of you who have come tonight, and for the way that's going to be going to support all of the work that we do here in the church, especially reaching out to the children of our school here as well. So thank you so much for that. So we'll continue now with our second half of the performance. Once again, let's give a good applause for Hiroya Tsukamoto.
Thank you. some more music? Thank you. A couple of people asked me during the intermission, I hear so many layers at the same time, so I want to explain what I'm doing a little bit. So I'm using a tool called a loop pedal, which is connected to my vocal mic and guitar cable. So what I'm doing is a real-time live recording to create multiple layers so I can build layers. So that's what I'm doing. So it's not pre-recorded or it's not a karaoke, it's a real-time. During the last couple of years, during the pandemic time, I composed some new music, so I want to share one of them. And when the pandemic started 3 years ago in March, I was about booked 70 shows that year. And everything got canceled in mid-March. And I had to stay in my apartment in New York City with the 2 little kids, which was very difficult. And there were so many cases in my neighborhood, so we couldn't go out at all. Almost 2 months, we were pretty much stuck. But musically speaking, I thought I had no inspiration because I was not touring. But at the same time, that time gave me the opportunity to just face to the music itself. And I will still compose some new music, so I want to share one of them. This is the first piece that I wrote during that time, entitled No Matter How Far. Thank you. A couple years ago, in this time of the year, from the end of July to the beginning of August, I taught at a music gathering in North Carolina, in western part of North Carolina, near Asheville. It's a very nice area, near Great Smoky Mountains. And it's a week-long gathering called a Swannanoa gathering because it was in a small town called Swannanoa, 20 minutes from Asheville. And that's actually a connection for this show in Tallahassee because I met a woman, Linda. Linda's here, right? Somewhere. At the Swannanoa gathering, and she connected to this church, so that's why I'm here. But anyway, the gathering is called Swannanoa Gathering. It's basically a music camp for adults. It's a very nice community. And I taught 3 classes for the guitar week. And the same week, there was another one called the Contemporary Folk Week, which is designed for singer-songwriters. And between my classes I was teaching, I've got some free time, so I ended up taking one of the songwriting classes, which was pretty inspiring. And in the class I took, songwriting teacher assigned students to do some work. And she said to us, I'm going to give you guys for 15 minutes and try to write a song and come back. Very challenging, right? But anyway, it was in a beautiful location, so I went out from the building and I was walking, looking up the sky and trees, and I was hoping that something was coming. But nothing came. Although, eventually in the last minute, this simple melody with the Japanese poetry came about. And after coming back to the classroom, I shared this little piece with the teacher and the other students. And same week, there's a morning meditation time at 6:30 a.m. every morning. I began going there on my second day morning, on Tuesday. I saw some of my students were there at the meditation. I also saw some instructors too, who are performers. And as I was observing people that morning, they were not so friendly each other yet because that was their second day meeting each other. But they started to be more open as they went by because they obviously talked more each other. But another reason is this Buddhist monk who was leading this meditation because he shared everything about himself, some good things, bad things, everything. And people start to share different things about their lives. And there were some happy topics. But also there were some heavy, serious topics and troubles they went through. And we listened to each other's stories. And in the world of Zen, there is a word in Japanese called ro, R-O. Ro could be translated English as revealing or sharing. But the concept is not sharing only good part of me. I need to share my weakness. And sharing weakness is not the easy thing because we tend to pretend. But if I can share my weakness in an honest way, and if my friend does that to me, same thing to me, we believe that we can build a lifelong good relationship to other people. And while I was meditating there, listening to their talking, I was thinking about that concept. And I thought, although we are all different individuals, but we are all same. We are same human being. We have happy times, difficult times. We go through different times in life. And while I was meditating there, I came up with another new poetry. And I combined these two parts together from the week in Swannanoa, North Carolina. And this song came about. And this is called morning tide will bring another day.海の見える街に君は家を建てた。悲しい思い出忘れるために海の見える街に僕も家を建てた。悲しいあなたのそばにいるために生きてゆくのはつらい。それを言わないだけ。僕もあなたと同じ。また朝が来たね。You built us a house upon a hill. There is an ocean view from every room. All alone, you sit there and gaze, hoping that the memory fades. I also built a house upon a hill. There's a sound of water in the air. All the pain that you have endured washes out beyond the shore. Pain is but a part of every life. But these are the words I cannot bear to say. We are just a drops of water in the sea. Morning tide will bring another day.海の見える街に風が運ぶ歌を知らないあなたは僕を置いてゆく。生きてゆくのはつらい。それを言わないだけ。僕もあなたと同じ。また朝が来たね。僕もあなたと同じ。また朝が来たね。 Thank you. Thank you very much. That was another original piece called Blue House. And I'm going to do 2 more songs for you tonight. I composed this piece in a small village back in Kyoto, Japan, where my grandparents are from. And both of my grandparents came from this tiny village. And everybody knows each other. And my last name is called Tsukamoto. And even in Japan, it's kind of hard to find, but in this particular village, there are so many Tsukamotos. And actually, I had a surprising yesterday. I played at the NPR station in Pensacola yesterday, and there was one Japanese woman living there, and her last name is Tsukamoto too. And it was like, wow. And we became friends. But anyway, I used to go this village where my grandparents from when I was growing up as a kid. And when I think of that moment and this place, I had a great time, and I still feel like I'm connected somehow. And you may have similar places in you, the place you had been a long time ago when you were small, and you haven't been back, but sometimes memories comes back and you dream of. And several years ago, I had a chance coming back to this place with my dad, and I brought my guitar, and I composed this next piece there. This is entitled Takibi, Takibi. And Takibi is a Japanese word which means bonfire, because making bonfire was kind of a tradition, especially in those rural villages back then. Thanks so much for coming out. I'm going to do one more piece for you. And besides the CDs, I also have a mailing list. If you sign up your emails, I'm going to send you monthly newsletters from different places they go. And I write about what I'm thinking, and I do a photography, so I put some photos from different places too. And if you are interested in, please write your emails. Also, as long as you can spell my name, I have some social medias, Instagram, Facebook page, website. Actually, I have a flyer, so you can take the flyers. About 15 minutes north from New Haven, Connecticut, there's a small town called Hamden. And there are two mountains. One is a round one. Next to the round one, there's a longer one. And these two mountains are connected. And people call it Sleeping Giant. Next to Sleeping Giant, there's a university called Quinnipiac University. And one of the professors there, his name is Luis. Luis is originally from Argentina, and he's been here in the US for many years, like me, so we became friends. And a couple years ago, I was playing shows in New Hampshire and Vermont, and he knew that I was up in the area, so he called me up, and he said, I know you are up in the area, and do you have time to stop by? So on my way back home, I stopped by Hamden, and me and Luis did a trail walking through this mountain. And it was in December, a very cold day in December, but it was a beautiful experience for me. And after I got home, about a week later, I got a package from him. And when I opened the package, there were 4 thick books about Sleeping Giant. And Luis included a letter, and he wrote that I am personally very attached to this place. And also, this is an important place for the university too. So I want to ask you a favor. I want you to compose a piece about Sleeping Giant. But before doing that, you have to study about this place. And try to read those books. And it was pretty difficult to read, but I tried my best. And I learned that this place was originally a sacred place of native people living there back then. And their name is Habermock people. So I named this piece as Habermock. Hey, oh, no, sent to Hey, oh, no, sent to sent to Hey, oh, no, sent to Hey, oh, no, sent to Hey, oh, no, sent Hey, oh, no, sent to 가라 더 Hey, Thank you very much.
One thing that's very, very clear to me is that in all the busyness of our lives, sometimes we're very starved for peace and rest. And I just want to thank you, Hiroya, because you have really created a beautiful space for us tonight to be able to find some respite. So thank you for that gift tonight. Really appreciate your being here with us. And I do hope that you will support his artistry by buying one of the CDs that, as I mentioned, he has available for you out in the narthex, and that you'll continue to follow him on social media in the future. I want to quickly give a shout out to Chris Jester, who is not here tonight, but he was the one who organized this entire event. So we want to thank Chris. We want to recognize Fred Chester, who was in charge of all of the audio-visual stuff, the team tonight. And also thank you to Nancy Rubin and all the hospitality team and those who provided the delicious refreshments and desserts for us to enjoy. Once again, thank you all so much. And again, you are always welcome here at Holy Comforter. Thank you.